Today, we're going to be getting everyone up to speed on this guy. Why? Well, with next week's adventure involving this legendary hunter of the Sea of Thieves, there's a lot of context and lore that you might have missed. Also, he was introduced in my favourite update of all time, and I'll be talking about what you may have missed during that. So lucky you get a 2 for 1 with this video. If you played any time after the anniversary update, you should be familiar with Merrick, or at least his faction, the Hunter's Call. Now, Merrick plays a larger role in the story than you think, but right now he's enjoying his retirement over on Stephen's Spoils as but a humble chef. Let's walk it back to 2018. Sea of Thieves had launched in March 2018, to many people's delight, until they realised it was Microsoft's great guinea pig for Game Pass. The game was pretty bare bones, while a great laugh with friends. Rare had plans to release the update 3 months after launch, but this had to shift to something with a bit more bite, shall we say. I'll cover this period in depth at another time, but essentially they shifted around the updates and brought forward the one and only Hungering Deep. In the grand scheme of things, it didn't add a whole lot to change the game, but it perfectly encapsulated a memorable adventure, so much so that I still circle jerk it to this day, like I'm doing right now. Hungering Deep was the original template for adventures, or campaigns as the devs called them back then. It was a semi-replayable adventure that was meant to change the way how players interacted with each other. So, onto the story. In the run up to the update, Rare turned the emergent shark spawns up to 11, and even dipping one peg leg in the water would have had about 17 spawn and chase you. Not only did this make the naval combat hilarious with boarding attempts, but it drove up the height that we knew something was coming. Along with this, a strange camp had appeared on Sharkbait Cove, where a mysterious pirate had made his home. Then, the 29th of May rolls around, and the community hops on, darting towards Sharkbait Cove to find the Giga Chad himself, Merrick. Merrick, the humble hunter you all know now, had a very tragic backstory. Merrick is somewhat a songsmith and had a talent for striking up shanties. However, at one point he wrote a shanty inspired by the writings of the ancients. Merrick and the crew of his ship, the Killer Whale, played the tune and was so catchy even another crew joined in. This tune, along with the 5 pirates playing it, was enough to stir an ancient creature, one that even the previous inhabitants of the Sea of Thieves had tangled with. The Hungry One had awoken and begun bearing down on the Killer Whale, devouring Merrick's crew and 3 of his limbs. Merrick barely escaped and turned to the drink to cope with the shame of losing his crew. Shortly thereafter, he set up camp on Sharkbait Cove, waiting for a crew to avenge him. This is where we come in. After venturing around the map, speaking to barmaids and finding Merrick's journals, we return to Merrick, asking him to spill the beans about the Hungering One. Merrick plays us the summoning and bestows a drum onto us, along with his tattoo design, the one I'm sporting to this very day. We would need at least 5 pirates to summon the Megalodon, so crews were forced to work together. We carried the tune from Sharkbait Cove all the way to the south of Devil's Ridge. Something began to stir in the deep, and as our tattoos glowed, the beast surfaced from the depths and a legendary battle ensued. Several hundred cannibals and tons of wood later, yes, there was a lot of cannibals flying around, and the beast was finished. We returned to Merrick to tell him of our victory. He then rewarded us with a Hungering One figurehead and sent us on our merry way. And that was a tale of the Hungering Deep. With Merrick avenged, he went on to kick the bottle and make amends with his family, setting up everyone's least favourite trading company, the Mermaid Gems Call. Now you're up to speed with Merrick for next week. What did the Hungering Deep mean for Sea of Thieves? We know Shrouded Spoils improved much of the older content, but the Hungering Deep was the first update we had, and what an update it was. Nowadays, I think we all take Megs for granted, but imagine if your first time seeing one was through a lengthy campaign, albeit pretty bland when compared to the new Tall Tales, where you had to track down a crew to help you and carry a tune across the width of the map. Also, you couldn't just play the shanty, you had to stand within Merrick's proximity to play it, and form a human chain of musicians to pass it along to your friend who is standing on the ship. This was the first taste of the Sea of Thieves campaigns, and was easily the best one until the Tall Tales came out on Anniversary. It was so unbelievably cinematic encountering a creature that you had never seen before. For me, I got it done on day 1, and the Meg was never revealed in a trailer, so it was a full reveal in the game itself. No spoilers or no thumbnails from YouTubers ruining it. I hope the next time we get some big story reveals, the trailer doesn't ruin all the best bits like in A Pirate's Life. The campaign balanced the perfect level of mystery and action, which I don't think has ever been done since. We also got a new shanty and 2 new tools thrown in. The drum wasn't in at launch and was only one of 2 post-launch instruments to be added. Sea of Thieves had an issue of how shanties were streamed, so we didn't get any new ones until Haunted Shores launched about 2 years later. The speaking trumpet was perfect for the Hungering Deep, as it allowed you to shout long distances to speak with crews and convince them to come with you. It was pretty easy for the most part in the first week anyway, as everyone and their mum was doing this event. Don't get me wrong, dicks did exist in Sea of Thieves as they do today, but the community was filled with more engaged players, coupled with a community that was still figuring out the game as a whole. They were pioneers, not so much the masters of the seas that we have today. The only real issue of Hungering Deep was the fact that as the event went on, it was harder for those who hadn't completed it to find the Magic 5 to start the encounter, as there was no reward for replaying it. It was a special time, as players had been waiting for the next big update for Sea of Thieves, and we got it. We got the awesome cinematic trailer, we got a new AI naval threat, we got an incentive to alliance with others with little risk of betrayal, 2 new pieces of equipment, a new ship set, and one of the coolest characters in the Sea of Thieves lore. And what I personally love about the Hungering Deep is that the sequel will be coming out next week, with the Shrouded Deep adventure. If this adventure manages to recapture the magic of the Hungering Deep and allows players that missed out to experience that magic, then I will be a very happy man, and I think you lot will too. Looks like we got Merrick, the much anticipated release of the Shrouded Ghost, and maybe a battle for the Veil of the Ancients to look forward to. All we need now is a new shanty and being forced to kidnap a poor solo slooper to summon the Hungering One's cousin, the Hungering 2. And by the way, the kidnapping stuff did happen in Hungering Deep, which is quite hilarious thinking back on it. Either way, if Rare are going to continue making updates in the vein of Year 1's 5 amazing releases, then Sea of Thieves is in very safe hands in 2022. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe and drop a like. Did you play the Hungering Deep when it came out? And are you excited for the amazing week ahead? Thanks again for watching, keep your eyes peeled for some awesome videos coming next week, and I'll see you in the next video.